Are you a mama who's getting ready to give birth, or just gave birth and you're working on breastfeeding, or maybe you've been breastfeeding and you're kind of struggling a little bit? Well, mama, this video is for you. My name is Haley. I'm a labor and delivery nurse, childbirth educator, certified breastfeeding counselor, doula, and mama of 3. And this here is my little assistant, Isla. So today I'm going to talk about 5 tips that's going to help you with breastfeeding in the long term. So first thing is going to be clothing. So my baby's a little bit older. She's about 5 months old. So when you have a newborn, what you're looking for, they're going to sleep a lot first of all. So what you're looking for, an early cue, is that they're waking up, they're stretching where they arch their back and they poke their little butt out. It's the cutest thing. And they're starting to become aware of their surroundings. That's kind of an early sign or an early cue that, all right, mama, get up, go pee, get your water, get your snack, get yourself taken care of, because that baby, your baby, is going to want to feed in a little bit. So you want to take care of yourself first. Just like in the airlines, when you're on the airplane and they say put your mask on first, you have to take care of yourself first. Because I promise you, if you don't and you sit down to feed, you're going to realize, oh my goodness, I am so hungry, I'm so thirsty, I have to pee really bad. And you're stuck there for a solid half hour, you know, feeding your baby. And that's where partners can come in too. They can bring you a snack and some water, but it's just good to go ahead and take care of your needs beforehand. Kind of like a middle cue would be that the baby is like turning its head side to side, maybe like putting its hands in its mouth and like, you know, starting to gnaw, or if you're holding the baby's opening the mouth wide and turning towards your chest. That's a sign, okay, time to put the baby to breast. Now, if it gets to the point where your baby is crying and really frustrated and turning red, that's not the point to bring the baby to breast, because your baby's very angry and upset, kind of how we get when we're hungry and we skip a meal, or we're ready for a meal, or our blood sugar is low. We get a little hangry, and so does your baby. So what you need to do is, because you're going to be really flustered too. There's nothing more flustering than when your baby is crying and frustrated. So trying to put the baby to the breast at that point, you know, you can try, but a lot of times the baby's too upset and like doesn't even recognize that it's in their face. So what you need to do, rip off your shirt, take the baby's clothes off, do skin to skin. Okay, just put your baby skin to skin like this, stand up, bounce, and shh, it's okay, mommy's right here, it's okay. Calm both of you down, get both of you calm down, and then when baby's nice and calm, then lower the baby down and begin to feed. So I call that being in the kitchen. Skin to skin is like being in the kitchen. If you're in the kitchen, you're gonna eat something, and if your baby's in the kitchen, it's gonna calm down and want to eat something. So that's just a little cue to help your sanity and your baby's. The third tip would be about position. So there's a lot of different positions out there that you can choose from. And, you know, if you have your boppy or, you know, whatever you're using, pillows in different areas, you want to make sure that first you're positioned, you know, sitting up nicely, and so that your body is aligned and you're not bringing the breast down to baby, because that's going to hurt your back and your shoulder. If you're a new mommy and you just had a C-section or cesarean birth, one of the best positions for you would be the football hold. So you actually are going to hold the baby by the back of the head, okay? And then you'll bring the baby back like this and bring the breast down to the baby. I know. Mommy's such a mean tease. But we just ate. You want more? You want more? Yeah, she's okay. The other position would be, you know, when you have a new baby and they don't really have much control of their neck, you want to do the cross cradle. So you're holding their head and supporting it, using the other hand in like a C shape to feed the breast into the baby. And then once your baby gets a little bit older, you can do the cradle position where you're just like this, breastfeeding your baby. Yeah. See? And then when your baby gets a little older, they might even self-soothe when they see that they're not gonna get the boobie. Yeah, you got your fingers instead. The other, number 4 tip is gonna be about latching. So if your baby doesn't have a nice deep latch, then you, are you hungry? Do you wanna eat? Okay, okay, let's eat. There. Okay. I'll be right back. It's this one's nap time. Say night night, Isla. Night night. So I want to go back to position a little bit now that I don't have my baby who's like, am I going to get fed? Am I not going to get fed? What's happening? The football hold. So you're grabbing by the base of the head like this, and you're gonna bring it back like this and support yourself with lots of pillows. And then you bring the baby to the breast, okay? You kind of feed the nipple into the mouth like you would a Big Mac into your mouth, you know, like that. And we'll talk more about that on latch, but that's the football hold. You can also do while you're lying down, okay? Hold your baby like this. Obviously you'll be laying on the bed and then feeding the baby. I don't necessarily recommend this at night if you are a new mom and adjusting to the sleep deprivation, because you can very easily fall back asleep and then your newborn is right there in the bed with you, which they don't. American Academy of Pediatrics doesn't recommend the baby sleeps in the bed with you. They recommend that the baby sleeps in a crib or a co-sleeper or a bassinet at your bedside. Some of the other positions are the cross cradle. So again, you're holding baby, you're not squeezing hard, you know, you're just supporting. You're just there to support, because they can lift their head up but then they have no control of it. So they're like little bobbleheads. So you want to just help to control it. And so you'll grab by the base here, and then you'll bring the baby across. So the baby's kind of like on your forearm here, right? You know, it's a new baby. You're using that C to cup your breast, and you don't want to hold it by the nipple and feed it in. You want to hold up higher and try to get not only the nipple but as much areola in as you possibly can, because that's going to help prevent you from having sore nipples and get the nipple back farther. And then the other one is once your baby's older, like my baby is at like 5 months, which, you know, once you're like a month old, you can do this, or probably even before. You just hold the baby like you would, you know, when you were a child, in the cradle position like this, and then you just get the nipple near the baby and they will go nuts, right? But you know, in the earlier stages when your baby's a newborn, you probably won't do this as much, or if you do, you'll have to still feed the nipple into the baby's mouth, just because they're still adjusting to breastfeeding just like you are. They have a little bit of a learning curve just like you do. That being said, like, they're really just innately made to breastfeed, so you know, it's gonna be okay. Now let's talk about latch. Let's go to latch. With latch, you want to think about, you know, when you're eating a really big juicy burger, you don't eat it straight on like this, right? You feed it into your mouth. So you want to think about feeding your baby a booby sandwich, literally. You're going to aim your breast to their nose and then down. And so you really want to have like a, you know, a deep latch. And there's a video I'll link below that I really like, and I send to my clients and friends and everything to help really further get into getting a deep latch. But that's really important. And you also want to make sure that the baby's lips are flanged out around the breast, or like you would with a straw. You know, when you're sucking on a straw, your lips aren't, you know, sucked in with them. So if a lot of time the baby's bottom lip will get sucked in and like cover over their gums like that, all you need to do is just kind of pull down on their chin a little until that bottom lip pops out while you're feeding. You don't need to unlatch. Now, if you do need to unlatch for any reason, you want to like make sure your hands are really clean, wash your hands before you breastfeed, and then you want to just take like a little finger and insert it into, you know, in between your mouth and your breast, and then pull away. Don't ever just pull your breast out, because that's not going to feel very good to your nipples or the baby's mouth. And then the last thing that I want to talk about, tip number 5, is going to be, let's talk about growth spurts for a second. And I know you're thinking, what does that have to do with breastfeeding? But hear me out, because I've had so many mamas that, you know, I get at the hospital and it's their second baby, and I'm like, hey, you know, how are you planning on feeding your baby? And they're like, oh, I'll probably just, you know, have to bottle feed again. And I say, tell me a little more about that. What do you mean you have to bottle feed? And they're like, well, I just ran out of milk with my first one, or my milk dried up. And when I do ask more questions, I tend to find out that there was a lack of knowledge there. Your milk really didn't dry up. There's just that, you know, there wasn't proper education for you to understand the process and how it works. And so just a really quick breastfeeding 101 course, your breast, you secrete a hormone called prolactin. And once your baby comes out, that hormones get secreted even more, and it makes you start producing milk, which your milk usually won't come in until 3 to 5 days after you've given birth. But what is there is called colostrum, and that's full of antibodies. It helps with your baby's immunity, to develop their gut biome so that it reduces their chance of childhood obesity, asthma, childhood allergies, all kind of stuff. And so that is really helpful in the first few days to help fill baby up and still give the baby the nutrients it needs. So, you know, even though your milk hasn't technically come in yet, you're still nourishing your baby. So put the baby to breast whenever the baby demands. Follow the baby's cues. That being said, you know, you get home from the hospital, you saw a lactation consultant within the first 24 hours of birth, you kind of remember something she said, you know, you feel like maybe like you're getting this latch thing down, and it's been like maybe you're home for like a week or something, and you're down to like doing great, getting this routine with like feeding your baby every 2 to 3 hours, which, side note, babies have a biological need to eat every 2 to 3 hours. So you really can't sleep train a newborn, okay? It's just part of the process. You know, you're gonna have to wake up every 2 to 3 hours. So that whole term, sleep when baby sleeps, it's real. That being said, back to, you know, you're home for a week, you're getting it down, baby's eating every 2 to 3 hours, and then all of a sudden one day, baby is wanting to eat every hour, or baby eats and then 30 minutes later is hungry again. And you're like, oh my gosh, my baby's not getting enough to eat. I'm not providing enough. And your husband or your partner is like, maybe we should just give them a bottle of formula. It seems like you're not making enough. And then you get self-conscious and you're like, oh my gosh, this isn't at all what I imagined it would be. Guys, that's a growth spurt. Breastfeeding is a supply and demand thing, okay? In order for you to supply, the baby has to demand. And as the baby grows and the baby's stomach gets bigger and the baby needs more from you, the baby has to demand more. And the way that it does that is by going to the breast more. The more it goes to the breast, your body is going to get the message that, hey, I need to make more milk for this baby because this baby is growing. So for like a day or two, you know, sleep is going to be really off and baby's going to want to breastfeed more. And that day or those 2 days, that's a shirtless Netflix and chill day, because you are just going to be shirtless on the couch feeding your baby whenever they want to go to the breast. All right? So don't feel like, oh my gosh, my milk is dried up. This breastfeeding is not what I thought it was going to be. Because you just trust your body, step into the shower of grace, and understand that, you know, it's not going to be exactly what you imagined. It's not going to go perfectly. There's going to be some bumps and bruises. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, but it's also going to be so incredibly rewarding. And there's no feeling like having your child latch, looking up at you in your eyes while you're looking down at them, hearing their little little noises, their little sucking sounds, and feeling their little hands like on your chest and your breast. It's a beautiful experience. So stick with it, you know, and there is help. Go to your local latch league if you're having struggles with breastfeeding. Research local lactation consultants in your area. Usually the hospital will give you paperwork so that if you're having trouble breastfeeding, you can call their hotline or talk to a lactation specialist. So there's lots of things. If you're really motivated to breastfeed your baby, there's so many resources out there. And I'll link the latch League website in the details below. So check that out and get more information there. I hope this video was really helpful for you guys, and you all have successful, wonderful, bonding breastfeeding journeys. And if you have any questions at all, please put them in the comments. I'd love to be able to help you guys. And most of all, remember, when things get challenging and you feel like giving up, you got this.